Check the mic and make sure it sound right.
Hi, I'm DK Will. This is DK Will Talk About It. And on the Iraqi dinar, we just did a few videos and a string of them here. And the prior one I mentioned to, stay grounded, hold up when we saw talking about bonds. MarkZ was talking about bonds. And I mentioned that we had heard all about bonds a lot before. We're going to listen in on that real quick. And just remember, folks, restrain yourselves. Hold back. Hold back a little bit. You don't want to be a horse's patoot in the end because you grabbed hold of something and ran with it when it wasn't really time to run with it yet. Let's listen in on what happened in the prior video and then the outcome afterwards. And it gives a good reason for us to stay grounded and not to get too excited when information comes out because some promises have been promised over and over again now for years. MarkZ says that the bomb folks are geared up. And then he's excited for them, and that means that we'll probably go within 72 hours after them. The bond folks having to go has been an ongoing theme, and it hasn't happened yet. Judy notes a personal deduction from the above that if bond people were paid on Sunday the 16th has been decided via her higher contact. Plus, as MarkZ said, Tier 4B, that will be us, would go within 72 hours after that we're looking at Tier 4B appointments on Wednesday 19, 2022. Okay. Stay grounded. We've heard a lot of dates, a lot of promises, and a lot of things. So let's not put our hopes up too high, because remember, I don't do hopium. And right here is a good reason why I don't do hopium, because the very next day we see on 10/14, you'll notice it says that, well, bond guys have not been paid yet. They are being told their funds will release over the weekend and they will have access on Monday morning. That is the latest from my bond contacts. And then he acknowledges, as anyone would, this is frustrating. All the more reason, folks, that I say you need to hold yourself back. Stay grounded. And it's almost like anything else. Don't go by what they say. Go by what they do. And that's some of the information I'll be covering on this channel. Developments that are actually facts that have actually happened or can be anticipated to happen, and wait and see if they do. And whether they do or they don't is a good way to judge where you are and where you're going. However, I will say, and I will continue to say, that although I am covering this information about the Iraqi dinar, this is bigger than the Iraqi dinar. Okay? He goes on to say Iraq is still quiet today as they are busy trying to put the new government in place with their recent election of president and prime minister. Elections, presidents, riots. I mean, it's an ongoing saga. Now, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer here. I do believe, or I wouldn't be doing these videos. And as a matter of fact, as much as I believe other things are far more critical at this point than the Iraqi dinar, YouTube seems to want me to push the Iraqi dinar. I guess that's a vacancy in their algorithms for types of films they want. But I say a lot more important things, I think, than what goes on with the Iraqi dinar, because I think what the Iraqi dinar is waiting for revolves around those more important things. But that's a whole nother story. I'm going to do these videos because I know my audience likes it as well. And I get a lot of response from the audience. Therefore, I will do the videos. However, to my audience, hear me, please. Paradigm Whisperer. Hear me. Look at the other videos that I do that are not specifically about the Iraqi dinar. The ones that are about the global financial system. The ones that are about the cryptocurrencies and the transition to blockchain. The ones that are about retail investors. The ones that are about artificial intelligence. The ones that are about what everything's really about. Okay? Because if you don't, you'll keep getting nothing burgers, folks. You'll keep getting nothing burgers. But let me cover this information and go from here. He did say he does believe things are well on their way, and it's shaping up for the perfect storm for a reset. Okay, I do believe the reset. I do believe the storm. Well on their way has been said now for years. Okay. Let's look at some things that are developing that I think really contribute to what everyone is looking for while being held back with hopium and dreams. In today's news, rumors, and opinions, Saturday, 10/15/2022, talks about the Deputy Minister of Finance participates in a monetary and World Bank meetings, stresses the comprehensive development. Well, let's just go to the source of information. And this is translated documents from Iraqi news sources, where it talks about the Minister of Finance heads an Iraq delegation to meet with the World Bank on investment. And it goes on. I'm going to read the majority of this, skipping names, of course, in some instances. But it said that according to a statement of the Ministry of Finance received by SHAFAQ news agency, the meeting in which the Undersecretary and a number of general managers participated, including several meetings on the sidelines of meetings with a number of financial and economic institutions. We'll develop that too as we go. Hang in there. During the meetings, Abdul Jabbar stressed the importance of strengthening relations with various international partners and the trend towards developing areas of regional and international cooperation. The minister referred to efforts aimed at solving problems and removing obstacles that accompany the process of promoting investment opportunities and establishing projects in Iraq, stressing the need to involve the private sector to take its role in the overall economic activity to achieve comprehensive and sustainable development. The statement continued, participation in the meetings of the fund and the World Bank included central bank governors, ministers of finance and development, senior officials from the private sector, representatives of civil society organizations, and academics to discuss issues of global concern. Didn't hear anything about any oil ministers or oil companies there. The statement indicated the visit of the Iraqi delegation comes within the efforts to enhance and deepen the areas of economic cooperation with the two international institutions, that would be the IMF and the World Bank, as well as Iraq's intention to obtain technical support from the U.S. Treasury and other financial institutions. So that's real meat on this one here. That's really verifiable. And on a different article, it said the exact same thing. Other than the end, it says it's noteworthy that the House of Representatives voted on September 11th on a parliamentary decision to terminate the assignment of Jabbar, the Minister of Oil, from his position as the Deputy Minister of Finance. Notice that disconnect from oil money due to the intersection of his work with the provisions of the amended financial management law at the request of 146 deputies to assign the Speaker of the House of Representatives. The minister was replaced. Okay, so now why is this important? Well, I can tell you why it's important to me, and hopefully you'll agree with me that it's important. And keep it in mind, it's all speculation. It's all keeping an eye on events to see as they unfold, to see how they can get us closer and closer to where we're heading. But truth be known, every day that goes by, we're closer. However, in this article that was dated the 7th of October, Yellen calls for World Bank revamp to tackle global challenges. And I watched the videos of other providers too, and we know that during that time period, there's a lot of coverage and prepared remarks for a speech ahead of the World Bank and International Monetary Fund annual meetings. Yellen said she would call on World Bank management to develop an evolution roadmap for changes by December, with deeper work beginning the spring of 2023. And so let's not forget that this meeting, read what Professor Kevin Chika URAMA said. Pleased to attend the meeting of the Bretton Woods Committee, where both Kristalina Georgieva and Janet Yellen discussed their views on making multilateralism work. Great insights on the overlapping global challenges and how to enhance the role of MDBs. Okay. Now tie that in with this tweet, shout out to Andy Duehren, where ahead of that meeting, the IMF World Bank meetings, Yellen says monetary tightening has international spillovers, including currency realignments. Now, realignments is a nice way of saying resets, isn't it? Reinstatements, whatever you want to call it. Adjustments in the currencies. In case you didn't get that out of it, she went on to say the G7 has committed to market-determined exchange rates, but we are attentive to the potential consequences of exchange rate movements. Now keep in mind, with that type of mentality, here comes the Minister of Finance in Iraq, money that is pegged to the United States dollar, to meet with Janet, the likes of Janet Yellen, excuse me. I had to get that bird quiet, and it threw me on a loop here. I'm trying to get my footing again. But nonetheless, that's why this information here is so important that we got from News and Rumors. We went to the original sources of the information. That one is there, and then we had a duplicate of it here. And what we do know is that the Iraqi banks are going, finance ministers are going to meet with the IMF and the World Banks. We know that Janet Yellen is interested in how they put it. Current challenges are urgent. Remember we said by December and the spring of 2023. That's why I'm calling on World Bank management next week to work with shareholders to develop a World Bank evolution roadmap by December. Do you remember it said by December, folks? And so as we see things continue to develop, you can get caught up in the loop with the, financial management law, or whatever it is all called, a whole bunch of distractions, folks, because I can tell you that Kristalina Georgieva of the IMF is more concerned with CBDCs and blockchain and cryptocurrencies, because that is the way things are going, or the central bank system is going to die, which according to some sources it already has. But the Iraqi banks are bolstering up, and they are dealing with folks who are dealing with the actual exchange rate movements. And another article mentioned that 19 Iraqi banks are classified by prominent international agencies. So the Central Bank of Iraq announced today that 19 private Iraqi banks have obtained a classification from prominent international agencies, folks. The Iraqi banks are bulking up. The bank said in a statement that within the framework of the efforts made by the Central Bank of Iraq to develop the Iraqi banking sector and keep it in line with international standards, 19 licensed banks in Iraq obtained a classification from accredited international rating agencies, Capital Intelligence, Fitch, Moody's, and Standard & Poor's. These banks will receive banking facilities, which reflects how advanced the performance of the banking sector in Iraq is, not how it's going to be. It is worth noting that the central bank seeks to increase the Iraqi bank's ability to expand their network of relations with international banks and enhance the confidence of citizens and investors in them, especially after their success in obtaining such ratings. So they're bulking up and getting ready to go, and they're meeting with the likes of Janet Yellen's and the World Bank and the IMF. That is not speculation, folks. That is maybe even past fact at this point, being October 15th. So keep your head up, folks. Keep your head up. But at the same time,
slow your roll. We are not going to rush this. We can only keep an eye on it and prepare for it. But things are happening that are beyond the guru distractions. And if you look for the meat on the bone, instead of gnawing on the bones, you'll get something out of it. You'll get some nutrition out of it. And so the banks in Iraq are bulking up. The finance minister is meeting with the IMF and the World Bank and Janet Yellen from the Treasury of the United States. They're going there talking about currency readjustments and market determined exchange rates during a period where the entire globe is going to a clear and obvious global currency reset. And that global currency reset is a reset to gold-backed currencies. Look backwards to see my videos. They're there. With the use of blockchain technology, on-demand liquidity, and the removal of nostro-vostro accounts. It goes on and on and on and gets deeper. But as it gets deeper, the deeper it gets, the more we come to realize, hopefully by now, that this is bigger than Iraq. I'm DK Will. This is DK Will Talk About It, and I have talked about it. Have a wonderful day, evening, night, morning, whenever you hear it.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right.